Hey, I'm Dummy, and this is my ranking of every US state and territory's tallest building based on factors such as design, view from the street, and features that the building offers, like observation decks, restaurants, hotels, and other amenities. However, first, a bit of clarification is in order. This is a list of tallest buildings, not tallest structures. So, for example, North Dakota's 2,060 foot tall KRDK TV mast is the tallest structure in America, but does not qualify for this list because it lacks the essential elements of building, like a roof, walls, and features to accommodate human habitation throughout the building. This also disqualifies structures like the Strat in Las Vegas and the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C., as most of their occupiable height is not habitable and is instead used as the shaft for the structure's elevators to access their top and bottom. So then, in 56th and last, we have South Dakota's CenturyLink Tower. Located in downtown Sioux Falls and standing 174 feet tall, it's a drab, unassuming building whose nicest features might just be the circular decor over the building's entryway and the one sad picnic table that sits outside. It was built in 1971 and is definitely showing some signs of age, but it also doesn't really fit in with the rest of Sioux Falls' historic downtown. Like in real life, just above it, in 55th place, sits North Dakota's entry on this list, the State Capitol Building. Seated in the middle of Bismarck's government complex, two parks, and next to the much nicer governor's mansion, the 242-foot tall office building looks stunningly out of place next to all the green space. The statue of former Governor and U.S. Treasurer John Burke is a small redeeming feature, but does not change the fact that this is a very unattractive building, especially for a Capitol building when compared to the one that is much higher up on this list. Next up, in 54th, I've got the 359-foot tall Dos Marinas 1 and 2 in Fajardo, Puerto Rico. Not much information about these buildings is available online, but they are a set of condos in Puerto Rico right on the water. While they do offer a great view of the marina, the buildings themselves are not much to look at, but I would place the red one higher than the blue one if pressed because I think the darker color scheme slightly improves the design of the building. Now we move on to the shortest tallest building in a U.S. state or territory, American Samoa's Telecommunications Authority building in Tafuna at 53rd on the list. While it may be the shortest building on the list and not much to look at, it does make some cool usage of colors and is definitely not the most boring building here. But at the end of the day, it's an ISP's office building and there really isn't too much to say about it. Billings, Montana is the site of the next building on our list, with the 272-foot tall First Interstate Center coming in at 52nd place. The tallest building in the Transwestern Plaza complex, the First Interstate Center is a building let down by its color scheme, with the brown granite on the exterior bringing about a boring look, but that does fit in perfectly with the office park it's located in. There's a small seating area next to a couple of statues outside the north side of the building, which adds a touch of charm, but overall, it's just another bland office building in a bland office park. Next up, Guam's economic center, Tamuning, with its 417-foot Pacific Islands Club Oceana Beat, ranks 51st on the list. While it would be near the top in terms of longest names, the Oceana Bee sits at 51st because it's simply a functional hotel building. It does what it needs to do, sitting right next to the beach and providing a great location for tourists to hang out and get a tan, but literally none of the rooms even have a view of the ocean, with your choices being looking down at the hotel's pool or back into the wooded area behind the hotel. While the location is nice, the building's boring nature and lack of a view leave it near the bottom of the list. And now, the first building to break into the top 50 is also the oldest building on the list, Vermont's Grace Church. The first of three churches on the list, this 199-foot tall building in Rutland has been around since 1860 and houses a school, an organ, and a large spire. It's not a very unique design, with the spire being the main highlighting feature, but it also features a historical marker next to it and it is situated in the heart of a cute neighborhood. Best of all, though, when you drive by it on Google Street View, there's a guy wearing a notorious big ready to die shirt giving the Google car the middle finger. And yeah, I guess you could say he's living up to that notorious moniker. Moving on to number 49, seated on St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands, is the 94-foot tall Marriott's Frenchman's Cove. This resort has had numerous names over the years, and there is essentially nothing about the specific part of the complex that is the tallest. However, I believe it to be this small cupola located on the left side of the resort. It faces the ocean, and there are also a lot of nice balcony rooms in the resort, but again, it's really just another hotel that happens to look nicer than Guam's hotel. Now, on to number 48, we've got the first of the boring square office buildings. Super exciting. New Orleans, Louisiana's 697-foot tall Hancock Whitney Center is very similar in appearance to Colorado's Republic Plaza, which is slightly further up the list. However, the Hancock Center is not really much to look at, with the stone construction of the first floor and the delivery complex elevating it above the previously mentioned buildings. But the travertine facade is otherwise unappealing and really doesn't offer much. And next, the 47th spot on the list is for the 347-foot tall Beau Rivage Casino Hotel in Biloxi, Mississippi. Nowhere near as beautiful as the other two Beau Rivage hotels in Switzerland, the entrance to this Beau Rivage is at least nice, with a fountain and view of the building's sunroom greeting you as you walk up. However, it just goes down from there, as a gaudy casino is what you get inside, with a strange two-level pool/sunbathing area completing the exterior. The building survived through Katrina, and it was renovated afterwards, slightly improving its looks. Cheyenne's Wyoming Financial Center inhabits the 46th spot on the list. The shortest of the 50 state's tallest buildings, it stands at 148 feet tall. Located near Cheyenne's government buildings, the former bank stood unoccupied for many months until a sale was completed in late 2024, allowing it to be used as a part of Cheyenne's overflowing government offices. The building is, at first glance, another boring brown tower, but it has a strange underground drive-through bank that requires part of the building to be lifted up by columns to fit all of the parking spaces in a set of stairs that leads to its entrance. But this entrance also leads to the parking area and, for some reason, directly to the second floor on the outside of the building, which elevates it on the list for me. In 45th is Baltimore, Maryland's 528-foot tall Transamerica Tower. Constructed in the early 1970s during a period of urban renewal in Baltimore, the most notable aspect of this building is that it offers a view of the USS Constellation from within and around it, as part of the new waterside walking district at the time. It was built using the process of constructing the concrete load-bearing column in the building's infrastructure first, before building up floor by floor after it, which was innovative at the time. The building has played host to peregrine falcon nests since the 1970s, which its website heavily plays off of, but it's not very exciting architecturally, and its elevated lobby is the only part of it that differentiates itself from any other skyscraper. Oh my gosh, guys, we've got an epic alert in the 44th spot. The 385-foot tall Epic Center in Wichita, Kansas is here. It was built in the early 1980s as part of a planned twin tower complex to give Wichita a big city feel. But those plans were scrapped because they realized that the second building would just sit empty because there's not enough people in Wichita to fill them up. As a result, we've kind of got half of that big city feel, with the Epic Center standing alone, much taller than anything else around it. It's another office building, but the slanted off look in the back gives it a unique quality that the ones below it don't have, and it does have a nicer curb presence as well. Now, on to number 43 on the list, we've got Virginia's Weston Virginia Beach Town Center. Standing 508 feet tall, it features a hotel on the lower floors and high-end condos on the upper floors. It has a relatively good street presence, but some of that is due to the fact that you cannot see the strange pyramidal antenna crown that tops the building. Especially compared to other building crowns on the list, this is just bad. It looks half finished, and although the lights somewhat help at night, during the day it's just jarring and weighs down an otherwise nicer building. On to the 42nd spot, we have Denver, Colorado's 717-foot tall Republic Plaza. A fairly bland early 1980s skyscraper, the tall lobby windows give it a more appealing street presence, but Republic Plaza suffers from being much thinner than surrounding buildings, which gives it a more isolated look when compared to the rest of downtown Denver. The intermediary vents between the 18th and 19th floors and the 35th and 36th floors help emphasize the building's height, which is a nice touch. Something notable about Republic Plaza is that it has stood mostly empty since the COVID-19 pandemic, as many of the inhabiting companies switched to remote work. As a result, it's lost hundreds of millions of dollars in valuation over the last couple of years, and it will be hard to recover from. In 41st is Columbia, South Carolina's 349-foot tall Capitol Center. I do like the difference that the zebra stripes on most of the building provide, but it is really let down at the street level by the strange all-glass entrance area that doesn't fit in with the rest of the building. Other than the coloring, though, the only item of note about this building is its 25th floor Capitol City Club, a restaurant which unfortunately is not open to the public. And now, the first building to break into the top 40 is Phoenix, Arizona's 483-foot tall Chase Tower. The cloverleaf design is certainly an interesting derivation of a modernist skyscraper, but it just ends up looking disjointed and strange from every angle except where you can see the all-glass portions. This isn't helped by the fact that there are several beautiful historic buildings around it, including 15 East Monroe, which is now the site of a Hilton Garden Inn. Notably, the main entrance to the Chase Tower is underground and has retail space, similar to that of Houston's underground walkways that connect to their Chase Tower. Chase vacated this building after the pandemic, and it has remained empty and full of asbestos since then. JDM Partners has signed on to redevelop the property, but 3 years have passed with no results, and it appears that this building will remain vacant for the foreseeable future, and the amount of asbestos in it makes it very difficult to renovate. On to number 39, we've got the 296-foot tall ConocoPhillips building in Anchorage, Alaska. Now, this may be a more controversial pick, but I do really like the facade on this building, and it fits nicely into the Anchorage skyline. The all-glass lobby leading into the complex offers a great view from the street as well, but the rest of the building is not particularly exciting. The building contains a gym and a restaurant, although unfortunately the restaurant is once again not open to the public. Milwaukee, Wisconsin's U.S. Bank Center stands at 601 feet tall and at the 38th spot on our list. I have very mixed feelings about this one because I like the skywalks at the building's base, and it's definitely an innovative design engineered by the great Fazler Khan, also famous for the Sears Tower and Hancock Center. It's a two-third window design with a tubed truss structure, a then new technology that is now implemented on essentially every tall building since then, including Jinmao in China, the Burj Khalifa in the UAE, and the aforementioned Sears Tower. My problems, however, are that I don't really like that two-thirds window design. The thick white borders around the windows combined with the small ones between the panes themselves just look off, and there are also noticeable gaps between the clusters of 4 windows. U.S. Bank Center, constructed in the 1970s, is due for renovation as well, as it appears worn in some places, particularly near the street. Additionally, I'm not really a fan of the decision to place advertising signs at the top, and I think it detracts from the building's look even further. Finally, it does have an observation deck, which is very cool, and it does also have a peregrine falcon nesting program, similar to Maryland's Transamerica Tower. The Central Ala Moana in Honolulu, Hawaii stands at the 37th spot on the list. Rising 405 feet in the air, it provides a spot for affordable housing in Hawaii and has a nice pool, views of the beach, and a fitness center for tenants. It's not a super exciting design, but I do like how the middle of the building brings the 2 all-glass sides together while also offering a set of windows all the way up. Even if your apartment doesn't face the beach, the other views are towards the mountains of Oahu, which are just as beautiful. However, the nearest green space is several blocks away and not in the most walkable area, which drags it down some. Biddeford, Maine St. Joseph's Church rises 235 feet into the 36th spot on the list. Built in the 1870s, this church features stained glass windows, 2 organs, and a statue of Jesus out front. The design of this church is just so much better than Vermont's Grace Church. The massive wooden doors complement the brick architecture and stained glass very well, but the rear of the church appears cobbled together and lacks the same level of refinement as the front. Like Vermont's church, it's surrounded by a neighborhood and some local businesses and rises high above them. Sitting in the heart of Boise and just 2 blocks away from Idaho's beautiful Capitol building is the 323-foot tall 8th in Maine. Adorned with a spire whose design was changed in 2013 following complaints about similarities to Mormon temple spires, it is a very nice mixed-use building, holding a bank, gym, and several restaurants. Since the early 2020s, efforts have been made to increase walkability in downtown Boise, and part of that has included making the portion of 8th Street that the building faces pedestrian only, which is a great and definitely important step for creating a safe, lively downtown area. I like the all-glass portions with the spire on it, and I appreciate what they were trying to achieve with the concrete parts of the building. However, the upper part being slightly set back doesn't really work for me, and the light-up glass sections do look great at night though, which kind of balances it out. 34th place is home to the 547-foot tall Simmons Tower in Little Rock, Arkansas. I appreciate the 2 outdoor eating areas here, and the main entrance has a lovely little garden. Most of the angles, though, are nothing to shout about, but viewing it from South Spring Street makes you realize that there is actually a relatively cool multi-tiered design set here. It has 5 steps up until you reach the top, and also features a design reminiscent of Minecraft near the pinnacle, where it looks like someone took a few blocks out of the building, which I quite enjoy. Up next is Manchester, New Hampshire's 274-foot City Hall Plaza at 33rd on the list. The chevron theming across the lower floors emphasizes the granite base on the building, and there's also a low rule triforce in the middle of the 5th floor, interestingly enough. The brick granite construction of the rest of the building isn't my favorite though, especially the parts where there's granite inside of brick inside of more granite. Still, at this point, we're definitely getting into the stronger buildings on the list, and this one isn't bad by any means. Next up, holding a branch of the Wells Fargo History Museum and described as sleek and featureless upon completion, the 546-foot tall Wells Fargo Center in Portland comes in at 32nd on the list. Built in the early 1970s and dwarfing anything else in Portland when it was built, the building features 60,000 square feet of Italian marble, a bunch of aluminum, and columnar glass running up the sides. It also has an immense skywalk connecting it to the data processing building, which, when viewed from the street, looks perfect for a sci-fi movie. The problem is, then, that while the marble is quite unique, it's also very plain, and so besides the ridged paths going up the building, there isn't much to talk about regarding the design. And now we're into my home state's tallest building, IMPay's JP Morgan Chase Tower in Houston, Texas, our first super tall, reaching 1,002 feet and coming in at 31st on the list. Connected to Houston's sprawling downtown's tunnel system, the Chase Tower is fronted by Juan Miro's Personage with Birds, complementing its 5-story all-glass entrance in the Jones Performance Hall. Finished in 1982, this building was the 8th tallest in the world at the time, and remains the tallest 5-sided building in the world. The structure combines granite and stainless steel on its exterior, and looks extremely different on the lobby-facing side from the rest of the building. Pay's design mostly holds up as an interesting take on the more restrained buildings, such as the previously ranked Hancock Whitney Center and Republic Plaza, but while it looks very interesting indeed from the front, the other angles of Chase Tower are not as adventurous. It used to host an observation deck similar to the ones in the Williams Tower and Wells Fargo building in Houston, but all 3 of those are closed to the public, giving locals and travelers no opportunity to view Houston's many skylines from above. Another granite skyscraper takes us to the top 30 on the list, Hartford, Connecticut's 537-foot City Place 1. Part of the larger City Place complex, it has an extremely grand entrance that wouldn't look out of place even somewhere like New York City. The vaulted ceilings and large windows supported by a Starbucks and a high-end whiskey bar give this building a premium feel as well. The darker brown works much better here than on previous buildings, but it's not the most interesting design, with the slanted out windows being an exception. Notably, this building's official address is 185 Asylum Street, which is a pretty cool street name. However, I do think the landlord might be the Joker, which could be something to worry about. And now we're on to Wilmington, Delaware's 360-foot tall 1201 North Market Street at 29th on the list. Built in the 1980s and situated directly across the street from the IMPay building, it boasts a unique appearance, with the pilasters running up the side being significantly more noticeable than on previous buildings on the list. It has an espresso bar and a cafe as well, and the tiered look on the north side of the building helps it out some as well. There is some blue coloration on the north side too, and I wish they would have committed more to that, as the plain white doesn't really do much for me, and the small, thickly vertically bordered windows aren't super appealing. The middle segment of the building's south side is my favorite part here, especially the high entrance bordered by concrete and then pilasters. And now, at the 28th spot, we've got a frustrating one, the Fontainebleau Las Vegas. Standing 737 feet tall, the design of the building itself would be beautiful, with the oceanic blue reminding you of a limitless sea. But the strange inclusion of a floor of clear windows about halfway up totally ruins that feel, and the building suffers greatly for it. The top floor club has a wonderful view of the strip, but it's private, and the only other way to get up there is to make a reservation at the 12-person, $400 a head Ito Omakase restaurant. The hotel's entrance is designed to look like an airport terminal entrance, which isn't really the most appealing to me. But as one of the 20 biggest hotels in the world, it does have a bunch in the way of amenities, including a pool, a large theater, a sports betting area, a bunch of restaurants, a spa, a conference center, a nightclub, and obviously a casino. Interestingly, this hotel sat unfinished and empty for over a decade, with construction starting in 2007, stopping in 2009 because of the recession, and undergoing multiple owners and name changes before finally opening in 2023. And now we move into the newest building on the list, Salt Lake City, Utah's Astra Tower, at 450 feet tall and the 27th spot on the list. Featuring a rooftop terrace, various sustainability features, and a spa, this is a great example of sustainable, affordable housing. The color choices here are definitely hit or miss, and I do like the contrast of the white with the glass portions, but the dark gray feels more tacked on and isn't the best in my opinion. It's located directly next to a ridiculously tiny pawn shop and a nice little plaza area, so there are ups and downs in the location regard. The view of the mountains from this building is probably my favorite aspect. It is truly breathtaking, and the Rockies are amazing. And next up, we've got New Mexico's Albuquerque Plaza at 26th on the list. Standing 351 feet tall and connected to the Hyatt Regency Albuquerque, this building offers a ton of amenities, including office space, a coffee shop, a restaurant, and the aforementioned hotel. Located in the heart of Albuquerque's downtown, it's situated right next to the convention center as well. It features a concrete and pink granite exterior, complemented by pink tinted windows that enhance the look. While it's not the most exciting building on the list, it fits perfectly with the surroundings, and the pink granite is really good for a state like New Mexico. The large two-story promenade completes its look and is definitely a nice addition to the building and the surrounding area. The first building to break into the top 25 is Boston, Massachusetts' 790-foot John Hancock Tower. Built right next to several historic buildings, it was designed to be minimalist and two-dimensional, and was moved so as not to cast a shadow on the historic Trinity Church, with an interesting split design that has 11 windows on one side and 7 on the other. The building is more unique than some glass boxes for sure. It also has a more troubled history than any other building on the list, which is worth exploring in its own video, but I'll run through it briefly. Designed by I.M. Pei and Henry N. Cobb, the building was originally supposed to open in 1971. Problems quickly mounted, however, including inherent flaws in the stress on the two-layer blue windows, which caused dozens of the window panes to pop out and fall to the streets, leading to street closures during 45 mile per hour and above winds. Additionally, shoddy construction during the excavation work led to shifting soil throughout the area, damaging a bunch of buildings, and they had to pay that Trinity Church $11 million in damages. Lastly, it was discovered that the building could potentially tip over during specific wind stresses, which led to the addition of a tuned mass damper. This measure partially solved the issue, but 1,500 tons of steel were also required to be added to the building to ensure safety. Finally, after 5 years of delays, the building opened in 1976, with the budget ballooning from $75 to $175 million. The building formerly had an observation deck, but it closed after 9/11 and has been used only for private events since then, which is unfortunate as the Boston area is historic and very picturesque from above. In 24th is Kansas City, Missouri's 654-foot tall One Kansas City Place. Built to resemble Kansas City's Art Deco City Hall, it was initially one of many projects intended to revitalize the downtown area. However, out of the 8 projected buildings, only 2 were built, it and 1200 Wyandotte. I definitely think the bottom 4 floors, with the large, dark granite surrounding the glass, look the best out of anything on the building, but the sloped-in styling throughout the upper portions is a nice touch and provides it with an element of uniqueness that isn't found in most all-glass buildings. It was recently renovated to enhance its waterproofing capabilities and ensure that the steel and concrete construction remained in good condition, able to support the building for years to come. Miami, Florida's Panorama Tower is in 23rd place on the list. The luxury apartment building stands 868 feet tall and sits 1 block away from the water and near one of Miami's many marinas. There's a fair amount of criticism for this building, and I'm not really a fan of the split in the middle, but otherwise I think it does a great job of encapsulating what a modern apartment building can look like, with a ton of windows and also some nice contrast through the inclusion of an element of separation between the windows. The view from the top apartments is also really, really breathtaking, especially the ones facing out towards the ocean and South Beach. It also has a ton of amenities, including a virtual golf range, pool, lounges, and three big screen theaters, which is admittedly pretty cool because I do love me some movies. Interestingly, this developer did not purchase the entire lot, so the back half of the block is occupied by a small 1980s office building, boasting, quote, resort caliber amenities, unquote, and a beautiful view of the One World Trade Center. Jersey City, New Jersey's 99 Hudson Street takes up the 22nd spot on the list. Standing 900 feet tall and home to New Jersey's most expensive condo, the building has an Art Deco inspired design using limestone and glass on the facade. There are some weird looking areas, like the building's lower floors, where there's some strange glass, limestone, vent, and then more limestone separated areas, but for the most part, the building looks great, with a grand entryway and a rooftop garden. There's also apparently a dog run, another virtual golf simulator, and private cabanas by the pool. The view from the rear of the building is very different from that of the river facing front side, but also looks very swanky and presents well towards the street. Another reason for its edge over panorama is that you can walk a block and get a view of lower Manhattan that is absolutely stunning. Indiana's tallest building is Indianapolis's Salesforce Tower, and it comes in at 21st on the list. Standing 701 feet tall and sporting a pair of antennas that are known as the bunny ears locally, the tower has some very cool design choices for a postmodern skyscraper, including a pyramidal structure at the top that pays homage to the nearby Indiana War Memorial, and some massive granite pillars surrounding the rear entrance, which is, interestingly enough, located on Ohio Street. Weirdly, though, more land was purchased so that the front door, and thus the address, could be located on the more prestigious Monument Circle, with a half block long entrance leading into the main tower. Monument Circle is home to the Soldiers and Sailors Monument, commemorating the Civil War, and offers a great view of the building. As for amenities, Salesforce Tower offers a direct connection to the Columbia Club Hotel as well as a subway, so basically anything you could ever ask for. Now we move on to Des Moines, Iowa for the first building to break into the top 20, 801 Grand. It's 630 feet tall and features a temple-style entrance with basic columns, a pediment, and an entablature. It also has an octagonal copper pyramid on top. With an essentially all gold granite exterior, it's definitely unique, and the glass jutting out in the center of the building does provide a very cool look. My one complaint here is that the service floors in the middle of the building are vented out, and while you can see that the architects tried to integrate them with the rest of the building's look, it's still fairly noticeable. The really long skywalk connecting it with the parking lot is also pretty silly, but it's not a bad thing here. On to 19th, we have the 792-foot tall IDS Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota, featuring a shopping center at the base with a cafe, jewelry store, Nordstrom Rack, and several other retailers. The unique blue and black building was the 16th tallest in the world upon completion. I do like the mechanical floors here, as their stark contrast to the rest of the building feels intentional and well done, not trying to hide anything. The Crystal Court, located in the center of the building, features fun sculptures and is a great place to take in the view of the building or even host an event. Sometimes, though, the court has to be closed because ice can fall from the top of the building and shatter the court's glass panels, which seems like a pretty crazy oversight when they were building it. There's also some controversy, and has been for over 30 years, as to whether the IDS Center or Capella Tower is taller. For 13 years after the 1992 construction of Capella Tower, it was thought that the IDS Center was 1 foot taller, but it was revealed in 2005 that builders had added 14 inches to Capella Tower's height without anyone knowing, making it 2 inches taller than the IDS Center. However, this didn't end the debate, as the IDS Center then said that the window washing area on its roof also counted as part of its height, making it taller once again by about 16 or 17 feet. Even still, there's ambiguity as articles are being written in 2025 about which building is taller. The top of the Idea Center is not open to the public, but it can be rented out for events, and it features a really cool view of the Twin Cities area. Now, for a building situated right next to Botanical Gardens, we have Oklahoma City's 850-foot Devon Energy Center, which commands your attention in downtown OKC. With a nice entrance plaza and, for once, a public, though very expensive restaurant on the top two floors, Devon has a lot going for it. It's at the heart of everything in the city, and the circular entrance area right next to the elevated glass on the first floor of the building gives it an impressive air when you're walking towards it. The all-glass construction isn't super unique, but the thoroughly modern design still looks as good as it did in 2013 and acts as the city's centerpiece, with Devon being over 300 feet taller than anything else in Oklahoma City. Additionally, the glass fin facing the street shows off the building's height and presence even more, especially when you're walking through the gardens across the street. Next up, we've got Omaha, Nebraska's 634-foot tall First National Bank Tower at 17th on the list. It has a very unique western facade and a beautiful all-glass entryway featuring a winter garden, so it has some very high highs. It also has an east side, which is not nearly as commanding as the west, but the three-color base and the vertical mullions accentuate the building's height and do make it look pretty nice from the street. It was also designed to be 3 feet taller than Des Moines' 801 Grand so that it could be the tallest building in the Midwest, west of Chicago, which is a very specific feat. Finally, the black granite at the base provides a good amount of contrast with the white to brown coloration that the rest of the building sports, which is cool. In 16th place comes Nashville, Tennessee's 617-foot tall replica of the Eye of Sauron. I'm getting word it's actually called 333 Commerce. Formerly known as the AT&T Building, 333 Commerce is one of Tennessee's major landmarks, and it's easy to see why. It's been described as the Batman Building due to its two spires, and was purposefully designed to look unlike anything else in Nashville. I'm not a big fan of the brown granite and concrete at the building's base, but this is a true stunner outside of that. It's very visible from both Nissan Stadium and Nashville's John Siegenthaler pedestrian bridge, and the bridge especially gives you a good view of the mixed facade on the building, which looks really great. This one definitely deserves its title as one of the most unique office buildings in the world. The next two spots are extremely similar early 1990s designs by Cesar Pelli. I put Cleveland, Ohio's 947-foot tall Key Tower in 15th and behind the Bank of America Center, mainly because I do not like the top portion of the building as much, and I believe that the key being part of the building's facade and crown in a color that does not match either of them isn't a good choice. Otherwise, though, this is pretty great. It fits in well as the centerpiece of Cleveland's skyline, and the stepped-back design is reminiscent of earlier skyscrapers, blending seamlessly with the nearby Terminal Tower. It's located next to the Fountain of Eternal Life sculpture, dedicated to Clevelanders who died in service to their country, as well as a sculpture of Abraham Lincoln, which contains a copy of the Gettysburg Address. Looking at Key Tower from almost any angle is a treat, and interestingly, the main entrance includes what essentially amounts to a shout-out to their biggest lessers. And now, in 14th place, of course, is the higher of the two Pelli designs, the 871-foot Bank of America Corporate Center in Charlotte, North Carolina. Connected to a well-designed performing arts center and featuring one of the best crowns on the list, this building incorporates some of the same styling cues as the Key Tower with a similar yet more restrained step-back design and a classy vaulted lobby. At night, the crown lights up, enhancing the city's nighttime ambiance. Additionally, the building features a lot of different art pieces, including 3 frescoes by Ben Long, which it is perhaps most famous for housing. Lastly, the corporate center also connects to the Overstreet Mall, a complex featuring a variety of retailers that links several of Charlotte's prominent buildings. Now in 13th is the frankly unbelievable Imperial Pacific Resort Hotel in Garapan, Saipan, Northern Mariana Islands. Standing 292 feet tall and looking like some sort of neoclassical Italian palace, this casino has been sitting in the middle of Garapan's beachfront district closed since COVID. Decorated with 20-foot statues, a massive amount of gold trim, and some great columns, this is undoubtedly the most ornate building on the list. The future of the hotel appears uncertain, however, as recent news articles claim the building is unfinished, in poor condition, and may need to be sold or closed. With foreign investors uninterested in completing the project, this could spell the end for the hotel, with a sale to another firm a certainty at this point. My favorite part here is definitely the statues of golden dolphins being cheered on by adoring children. This building is the definition of excess and has no apologies for what it is. In the 12th spot, we've got the fourth tallest building on our list, the 1,100-foot Wilshire Grand Center in LA. This building offers a wide range of amenities throughout, most notably an 889-room hotel, complemented by 6 restaurants and 4 bars, including a bar on the 73rd floor that is open to the air. I also really like the way the top of the building looks like a ship's sail. Additionally, the views from both the top and the street are really incredible, especially at night when it lights up the skyline. And now we head to Kentucky for the 11th place building on the list, Louisville's domed masterpiece, 400 West Market. At 549 feet, this building towers over the rest of Louisville, but manages not to look out of place with nearby buildings, and it's connected to a small park by the rear entrance. Featuring a beautiful Romanesque dome and a unique concrete construction, there are great views of it from throughout the city, including Louisville's beautiful City Hall. The interior lobby also offers some nice design cues, with marble highlighting it. Lastly, it offers something unique in that it mostly adopts a regular postmodern design typical of office buildings of the era, but it mixes in this light-up dome in a way that does not clash with the traditional architecture of the rest of the building. Breaking into the top 10, we've got the 1,023-foot tall Bank of America Plaza in Atlanta, Georgia. The second Bank of America building on the list, this one also features a very notable crown, and on top of the crown, a 90-foot obelisk that was made in the shape of the building itself. The pink granite on the rest of the building's exterior, combined with the dark blue tinted windows, gives it a feeling of verticality and provides the building with an impressive presence from street level. Interestingly, because of the underground garage, none of the building's entrances are at street level, all of them requiring you to either go into the garage or walk up several sets of stairs. My only gripe with this building is that the parking entrance and exits are very obvious, and the one on Peachtree Street especially takes up so much space. The cut-off sides create more room for corner offices and give the building a more impressive and differentiating look. Finally, the archway above the entrances to the building provides a classical look to the postmodern building, similar to 400 West Market, but in a very different way, with the recesses evoking the building's presence and making you want to look up at the entrance, seeing the mix of old and new at work. The TC Energy Center in Houston uses a very similar entrance design with a much higher arch, and is another really cool pink/red granite-clad postmodern building. And now in ninth place is Comcast Technology Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. At 1,120 feet tall, this skyscraper, not to be confused with the similarly named Comcast Center, also in Philadelphia, is a super cool contemporary design, with the shark fins on the windows ascending the skyscraper being one of my favorite parts. At the very top of the building is a small statue of William Penn, founder of Philadelphia. This is because there's a superstition in Philadelphia that when a building taller than Philadelphia City Hall is built, the city's sports teams experience a championship drought. So, by putting him above everything else in the city, they ensure that no one is taller than him still. This superstition seemingly paid off when, only 69 days after the tower's completion, the Philadelphia Eagles won Super Bowl 52. The building, while primarily an office, also features a hotel on the 48th to 56th floors, with an attached restaurant called Sky High offering great views of the city on the 60th floor. It also features a prominently spired top, which houses an NBC TV broadcast antenna, a company owned by Comcast. I think this is especially cool because it somewhat resembles a 1930s-style Art Deco building like the Empire State Building or 30 Rock, with their prominent antenna spires. Hitting the Elite 8 for our list, Charleston, West Virginia's state capitol building reaches 293 feet up, topping off with its dome and an eagle at the very top, and it also includes a statue of Abraham Lincoln, creator of West Virginia, at its front. It's an excellent example of classic capitol building design, with its temple-like entrance combined with a columned dome, creating a truly complete look. Additionally, the administrative sections on the sides with their decorative elements signal that this is a place of high stature, and the gold accents also hint at this. The Capitol also faces the river in the Zero Milestone, which signals the start of West Virginia's road system. From across the river, the dome rises above the rest of Charleston, with the hilly forest in the background making it seem like some exotic locale. This building also makes an appearance in Fallout 76, worn down by time and decay, but still retaining its grandeur. Seattle, Washington's Columbia Center stands 933 feet tall and it comes in at 7th place in our rankings. Formerly known as the Bank of America Tower, this building is a good expression of 1980s transitional design, incorporating some elements of postmodernism, with red and black granite being used extensively, as well as this three-stepped triangular design, but not leaning fully into it yet, with no expressive nods to the past, like a pediment in columns or something similar. This building also features the tallest observatory west of the Mississippi, known as Skyview. It offers a view of the Space Needle, Puget Sound, and the mountains surrounding Seattle. The black coloring and tiered construction here are also reminiscent of the Willis/Sears Tower in Chicago, and I think that the Columbia Center has a similarly imposing appearance. A fun fact about the Columbia Center is that due to its proximity to Seattle Airport, the initial plans to erect two large antennae on top of it were delayed and eventually never built, even after the controversy with the FAA was resolved. On to 6th place, we have Washington, D.C.'s Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception. At 329 feet tall, it's the tallest of the three churches on the list, and also by far the best looking. The exterior archway features giant wooden doors surrounded by numerous reliefs, including the tympanum depicting Jesus. There are also more reliefs inside, featuring some beautiful frescoes and stained glass windows. This is the most elaborate interior of the bunch for sure. The basilica took almost 100 years to complete, with groundbreaking occurring in 1920 and final completion in 2017. The dome, covered in 47,000 tiles to represent various biblical figures, stands out with its vivid colors, matching those on the bell tower, and it does give it a splash of life when compared to the more basic gray exterior, with the brown roofs also helping. This is also the only building on the list to have human remains contained in it, with the burial of its founder in 1932 happening at the site. Designed to accommodate 10,000 worshippers, the interior is massive, and it feels that way, with dozens of smaller chapels complementing the main worship room. The space is adorned with multicolored marble columns, which lend a classic European cathedral feel to the church, a style it surely achieves. The RSA Battle House Tower in Mobile, Alabama takes up the 5th spot on the list. At 745 feet tall, it's a beautiful Gulf Coast building and, along with the nearby Renaissance Plaza Hotel, gives Mobile two very nice crowns overlooking the bay. The Battle House Tower also connects to the Battle House Hotel and Spa, a much older building that was renovated during the construction of the tower. The black granite basin entrance gives it a stately feeling, especially as you enter from a tall set of stairs leading up to it. Additionally, this building is visible from the nearby USS Alabama battleship and USS Drum submarine, both historic ships also located on the bay. The building has some clear shades of the Chrysler Building in it, especially in the crown, which enhances the Art Deco feel that it tries to give off. The postmodern design of the central core of it complements the more Gothic-styled crown for sure. I think more buildings should incorporate this crown look, as it often is a design choice that enhances their overall appearance. And now we're into the final four, with Providence, Rhode Island's 428-foot Industrial National Bank building coming in at the 4th place spot on the list. The oldest non-church on the list, it was completed in 1928. Sometimes called the Superman building because it resembles the Daily Planet building from the 1950s Superman TV show, Providence's Pride and Joy features some great Art Deco hues, including reliefs around the entrance and a crown/lantern at the top, originally intended to help guide planes in the area. The setbacks here are another excellent example of Art Deco styling, and the building's smaller size actually enhances its look, in my opinion. The building's height is also characterized by the crown and the different tiers. As well as this, the various other historic buildings around the bank building complete the look of the area, with Providence's 1828 shopping arcade, located directly behind it, being especially cool with its temple entrance and shops. Unfortunately, the Industrial National Bank building has been vacant since 2012, with its Indiana limestone becoming increasingly weathered. I really hope there is a future for this building, with 2023 plans totaling $270 million to restore it having stalled, and a $4.6 million tax credit seemingly being what the project owners need to revitalize this historic property. Now entering the top three, I have the Western Hemisphere's tallest building, New York City's 1,776-foot One World Trade Center, in third place. Built to be a symbol of America's strength after the 9/11 attacks, the One World Trade Center features 8 sides, in reference to the 4 sides on each of the modernist megaliths that were the original World Trade Centers. While some may criticize the massive spire on top, I personally think it's a great tribute to the original One World Trade Center with its spire. The One World Observatory offers an incredible view, and I'm so happy that I've gotten the chance to go up there. The surrounding infrastructure, including memorials to the 9/11 attacks, is well worth visiting if you're in the area as well. This high-tech design, similar to Wilshire Grand in LA, makes for an excellent centerpiece for any shot of Lower Manhattan. Connected to the similarly modern and beautiful transportation hub, the base of the One World Trade Center isn't its strongest point. It isn't bad looking, it's just that the crystalline geometry of the rest of the building is so much better in comparison to the ground level concrete, which is there for safety reasons rather than beauty reasons. The nearby 3, 4, and 7 World Trade Center complement its look well, and the stalled 2 and 5 World Trade Centers should complete the complex, though I'm not sure they will pair as well as the next entry on the list and its similarly designed counterpart. The Willis/Sears Tower in Chicago, of course, comes in at second place on the list. Standing 1,451 feet tall, this super tall boasts the highest observation deck in America, complete with glass bottom windows, which are really cool to go out on. The black anodized aluminum and tinted glass in the exterior give it a thoroughly modernist look, a perfect complement to the similarly designed John Hancock Center, also in Chicago. It was the tallest in the world for 25 years and is still the highest point you can reach in any building outside of Asia. Its verticality makes it impossible to miss amidst Chicago's extremely varied skyline. The Hancock Center and the Aon Center are 2 other notable examples of modernist skyscrapers, and all 3 are truly impressive to behold. The bundled tube style here, with its various steps up, is a great example of 1970s technology, and it still looks incredible today. The antennas on top also look great, with their white coloration offering a stark contrast to the all-black tower in front of a blue sky. The lobby and entrance are simple, celebrating the building's triumphant achievement in design with a small glass cover that allows you to feel the building's sheer height. It's impressive, it's classic, it's iconic, it's perhaps the symbol of Chicago, it's the Sears Tower. Built as an urban renewal project for Melee's-era Detroit, the 727-foot-tall Renaissance Center was the largest private development ever, and the tallest hotel in the world was located in its central tower. Today, on Detroit's riverfront, it stands tall amidst a renewed city, recovering from bankruptcy and blossoming. It features a conference center, a variety of stores, a GM showroom, and, since its 2004 renovation, a significantly improved, brutalist-inspired interior. At the top, a high-end steak restaurant offers us views of Belle Isle, the rest of Detroit, and other parts of the complex. GM is moving out of the center, and it needs another renovation, with Detroit elected officials hoping to block a partial demolition of John Portman's masterpiece. Recently, one of the towers has been purchased for renovation, transforming it into apartments, office space, and a headquarters for Mahmoud al-Hadidi's business. It was designed to be a city within a city, a cyberpunk concept before the word even existed. It was cutting edge, it symbolized hope in a renewed Detroit, and its towering massive office space combined with the enormous hotel gave confidence to those in the area that renewal could and would happen. I really love this building and its representation of a hope for the future, which is why it's my favorite building out of every tallest building in the United States. Let me know your thoughts on the list in the comments, and thank you so much for watching.